Hello and welcome to the Animator's Shake-Up, a webcast where animators talk about animation.
In this episode, I chat with Giulia Bona, a storyboard artist and illustrator with a background in neuroscience and a passion for embracing what you love.
Why not listen along while you work on your own animations and have us for company? So sit back, relax, as we shake it up with some fellow animators on the Animator's Shake-Up.
Hello and welcome to the Animator's Shake-Up. On this episode, I'm joined with Giulia Bona. Hello!
Hi.
Welcome to our ice cream parlour. Now, I notice you've got yourself a drink in front of you there. What have you gone for?
Of course, my favorite one, that is a hazelnut milkshake. Yeah. Because I'm not a big fan of super sweet things, so hazelnut pretends not to be sweet, but it is, so it's perfect.
Yeah. I have had one of those before, and it is one of the staple, I'm going to say, perfect milkshakes that are out there. Because as you say, it's like a little bit savoury, but it is secretly really sweet, and it's delicious.
Pistachio is also very good.
Yes, I had one which was a blend of hazelnut and pistachio before, and that was wicked.
Well, I like the way you think.
Why just have one?
Let's put them together.
Yeah.
What are you
Maybe
having?
that's the one to try next. I've been having this one a little bit recently, off and on, and I thought I'd have it here as well. I've been making this at home, and it's where I get peanut butter, I put peanut butter in, and then I break up tiny little pieces of chocolate, and I blend that together. And they've given me one of those. And man,
Wow.
it's so good. Yeah, it's like if you took like a Reese's Puff, if you've ever tried one of those,
Oh, yes.
and then sort of blended that. It's a good combo. It's one of those mysterious combos that for some reason works, and you wonder who on earth tried it.
A kid, probably. It sounds like a kid dreamt of it and said, yeah, let's try.
Became a million billionaire or whatever. That was it. From that point on. So yeah, that's what I've gone with here. So tell us a bit about you. You're an animator, an illustrator, storyboard artist. Tell us about that.
Yes, Animator, I wouldn't say that, but yes, I am a storyboard artist and an illustrator. I want to say because maybe someone is also interested in a change of career. I'm a career changer. I didn't study art. I didn't study animation or storyboarding or illustration or anything. I studied science. I worked in science for a while, and then life happened, COVID happened. COVID changed a lot of lives, and I decided I needed a change as well. So I started drawing. I mean, I always had a passion for drawing and for animation in general. But yeah, I started really just learning and practicing during COVID, during lockdown, and then now I'm in the industry.
Amazing. That is such a similar
really
background to myself. Yeah. So my background was in science. Mine was in physics. What was yours in then?
Neuroscience.
Oh, wonderful. I love neuroscience. My whole dissertations were on the neuroscience of how the brain learns.
Oh my God! I'm just
it.
reading a paper about the quantum physics of the brain, and
wicked.
Oh,
that sounds completely up my alley. It's so funny that This is the funny thing. Now I'm not sure if you experienced this as well, but maybe this is why you've sort of moved over in a similar realm to me as well. Is I found having a combination of these two very different perspectives on the world, of thinking scientifically and then thinking creatively. It was so nice, and still is, to kind of slide between the two, because when you're in one realm, you can be subconsciously processing the other one without getting overwhelmed by it. And then when you get sick of the one you're in, you move over to the other one and then you do the same the other way. I'm not sure if you've had something similar to that, or whether it was just more of a, we're going to move from this.
Oh yeah, no,
this.
I mean, absolutely. I've always been the artist among the scientists and the scientist among the artists somehow. But yeah, that's why also the platypus is such a cool animal. Like these things in between. Yeah, I struggled a lot just choosing one. I always tried to put them together. I'm still trying to put them together somehow. That's why after my master's degree, I ended up actually working in science communication in museums, and that's, I think, why I ended up doing storyboards also, because I realized my big passion was toward storytelling, was the stories and the how engaging they can be for people, how can they attract people towards stories and curiosity and yeah, I'm still, like, now I'm in art, let's say, even if I wouldn't call myself an artist, but
I would, by the way.
But yeah, I still miss science, so it's always like a little bit like, I'm trying to stay in the two fields at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's nice though. I think always kind of yearning for the other thing is actually quite healthy, especially if you can step between them, because then it always keeps you excited about something like, continuously, which I think is a really nice thing to always keep your horizons and like looking beyond to, what's next, which is really nice.
I mean, evolutionary, as humans, we are designed to be never satisfied, right? That's what push us forward. That's why, like, give up on the concept of happiness. You will never be fully happy. You just will always be looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So yeah, having this push, as you said, is a good thing. It can spark ideas.
Yeah, I think having an interest in a completely different topic gives you a whole new perspective to generate ideas as well, which is lovely. And I think I'm gonna sort of backpedal just for a moment, because you brought up how you just love platypuses. I just want to clarify that. Is that your favorite animal, a platypus? Is that right?
One of my favorites, yes.
One of. And the reason why you bring it up, as well as it's kind of this combination of a few different things that have felt spliced together, is that this is how we met in a weird way.
Exactly.
We were at an event called In Motion, or Playgrounds in Motion, which was an animation extravaganza, I suppose, in London, and I think you guys were sat on the row behind me, and in between sessions I just wanted to talk to as many animators as possible, because this was me coming from my science world and then being like, oh, I'm surrounded by other creatives, this is crazy.
I feel you.
And so I was like, I've just got to talk to everyone. So I turned around to you lot and said, would you like a platypus? And you got very confused as I handed you a 3D printed platypus, and the smile on your face was amazing. Sorry, I just felt like I needed to explain the context of why you brought up a platypus. But so let's backpedal over to come forwards again about the whole concept of the importance of storytelling. I think I think when you really understand the passion that you have, I think that is the groundbreaking moment in anyone's life development and choices. It's like when they sort of sit back and they look at what they've achieved and they go, okay, but what is it that I'm actually really passionate about? And it might change, but like the fact that you you were doing your thing, and you know, clearly you've been happily doing that for a while, and then you went, I love storytelling. Like, I love that. Just like that sudden kind of like realization. And it's like, I am, and then you sort of enacted on that and said, I am going to shift gears, and I'm going to embrace that. Like, that is so cool. Was the transition? I mean, I know it was kind of circumstanced where you were kind of probably isolated in COVID, so you were like, well, what else am I going to do? But like, was the transition to it, what was it like? Was it, did it feel, I mean, the act of learning is painful, but did it feel painful to do, or did it feel like it was a very natural
I mean,
progression?
as a certain degree, it still is, meaning that, as you said, finding your passion is amazing, but then realizing that, okay, I want to do this, but I don't know how, and then you have to face the fact that at the moment you're very bad at it, and you have to learn how to do it properly. That's kind of painful, and there are little pains along the way all the time, right? That's part of the process, and part of the process was also realizing, and I'm still struggling with it, that progress is not linear. It has plateaus, and it has fallbacks, and it has it's always painful to have those moments of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not getting better, but it is like, that's the first thing that I always try to explain to people, that if you like the process of learning, doesn't matter what, it can be drawing, it can be science, it can be whatever, sport. If you just want the result, you're never gonna get there. It's always gonna be painful, and you will get a burnout. But if you enjoy the process, also the plateaus and the pain and everything, if you enjoy getting through that, it's always good. But it wasn't a straight line. Like, I think as many people approaching the animation world, I didn't even know that storyboarding existed. So it's not that I started thinking, oh, I want to be a storyboard artist. I started drawing, and I started first, I want to be an illustrator and just draw pretty pictures. Then, like, with the storytelling realization, I thought, maybe I want to draw a character and story-driven illustrations for characters. And then I thought, okay, maybe character design. And then while I was learning about drawing and poses and line of actions and all of that, through Instagram, actually, because the internet is a beautiful place, I found people working in the industry, and I just contacted them and said, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, actually. Can you help me out? And among these people, there were also storyboard artists, and we got to talk, and they showed me their work, and I felt like something clicked, and I thought, yes, this is it. And that opened a whole new thing, because storyboard is not just drawing, it's not just being skilled in drawing and colors and whatever. Actually, you don't use colors. you don't need to be good at drawing in that way. But it has a lot of cinematography that has to be implemented. So that opened, in the moment I realized, oh, I want to be a storyboard artist, another big void of things that I didn't know how to do opened.
And in comes the pain points.
Exactly.
I don't know this or this. Yeah.
Yes, the list.
I think I think it's trying to like find a way of making this, for anyone obviously, finding a way of making yourself aware of what you're not good at, but not being overwhelmed by it, so that you can approach it without just shutting down, which I think is a very hard skill, actually. Being able to comprehend that you can't do something, but being able to say, but with time I can, I think is really tough. So kudos on getting that far, because I think a lot of people
you.
would be like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, this is way more work than I thought. No way.
Is this a new
go
software? Oh my god.
Yeah. No. Oh dear. For the other people listening who don't know what a storyboard artist is, what is that? If you were to try and describe what that role is.
Hey, storyboard is, first of all, is in pre-production. So basically, storyboard artists are the people who stand between the writing group. So we get the script. If you're lucky, not in every production, but if you're lucky, you also get already character design and landscapes backgrounds and concept art to work with. And storyboard artists, we are the ones who translate the script into images, into a rough pass for the animators to work on and make it nice. So we are a blueprint of what the animation will look like. And storyboard artists are the ones who have to work, exactly as I said before, with cinematics and camera shots, like movements, expressions, what is going to happen in the scene. And then it's up to the animators to take our scribbles and translate them into beautiful art. And of course, how good you have to be in polishing your design depends on what kind of production you're on. And this is something that surprised me, and it seems counterintuitive, but it actually makes sense. Big productions, actually, in big productions like Disney, Pixar, whatever, the storyboards are way rougher compared to like TV productions and smaller studios, because often the animation is either not made in the studio, so animators have to have clear ideas of what they have to do. They can't just go wild with it. Or the time is so short that the storyboard has to be as polished as possible to cut the animation time. So yeah, that's what storyboarding is.
That's great. Do you have a preference of whether you prefer the kind of rough pass or one which has been cleaned up closer for TV? Do you have a preference yourself?
I like the rough pass.
Okay. Yeah.
The cleaning up is a little bit tedious.
Yeah.
But that's always because, as I said before, I like storytelling. I like okay, you get the idea. This person is smiling. Go on with the story.
We're here for the story.
Exactly.
And I think that is probably one of my favorite parts of the animation process. It's like, often, in a weird way, when I finish either a storyboard or an animatic or storyboard animatic, I just go, well, it's done, isn't it?
Exactly.
Like, there it is.
Exactly.
That's the story. Can you not see the way that they feel? Like, you can. Like, it's all there.
Do you actually need shades on this tree? Like, it's a tree.
No. Yes. So it's so funny. I feel like we've got this hidden eye, like in the middle of our foreheads. These storyboard artists, when you do it, because you're like, you see the final product.
Yeah.
When you got these really roughly scribbled, you're like, there it is. Yep, perfect.
Because for your projects you do it all. Like, you do all yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good though. I really enjoy it. To be fair, I think it's been really interesting coming from a filmmaking background to animation, because and a background, when I was doing film, I was doing everything as well. So, and I was quite often hired as a cinematographer who would come in and take the script and then design the storyboard for it with all the appropriate lighting, lenses, and all that stuff. And so now, when it comes to animation, where I've forced myself to learn to draw, now these storyboards take way less time than ever, and B, it's kind of like, oh, the film's almost done now. I don't have to go out and shoot it. When I've done the storyboard, it's like, well, it's kind of everything there, really. We're just going to draw another layer on top with the finer line work, and yeah, well, there we go. It feels like I've made progress a lot faster. I'm not thinking about the amount of time it actually takes to then do the line work. And it's like, it's just 2 steps in it. Line work, color, maybe shadows, a bit of compositing after that. It's basically done. Whereas normally with film, you have an extra step of actually organizing everyone to be there, shooting it, and then you then go to what would be the line work, the color, and then the compositing after that. So yeah, not strangely, I think quite reasonably, doing cinematography made that process of visualizing a script super, super easy, especially when it came to animation. And I think as well, I do agree, I definitely like it when it's rougher, because again, we see the final product when we look at these like rough pieces. Like, you don't need that, do you? Do you really? Come on, just use your third eye. That's the way to do it. Yeah. Have you had a favorite project that you've worked on that you can talk about?
Well, actually, now I'm working on a project. I'm working on my personal project right now. And it also connected to what we were saying before. I'm start working on a series of science-based short animations.
Nice.
So that's a lot of fun. It's I'm doing everything alone, basically. Like, I have a little group of people helping me out, but from storyboard, like from script actually to storyboarding and animation now. I'm trying to put together my own project, and that's actually super fun.
Wicked. I love it.
But yeah, the other project, I worked on animations for kids, like TV shows for kids. Those are a lot of fun. Are very simple, so you can't go crazy with camera shots because they're for kids. But they're cute to work on. They're very relaxing. Like, also because I think as every artist, like, you find yourself mimicking the characters you're drawing. So after a whole day drawing kids cartoons, you feel like, oh, I'm smiling a lot today.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, I love that. It's funny though. It's like, it's amazing. Like, when you surround yourself with either real people or cartoon ones, like you do sort of absorb some of their energy. So it depends on who you've been around. It will completely influence how you're thinking. And I do find that it is true what you say, and very hilarious about the idea of cartoon characters having that same effect as well. Oh man, it's funny that you're doing an animated science stuff, because I've been doing that as well. I made this for physics, obviously. It's called gophysics.co.uk. So I made a full animated educational learning resource for GCSE students. And it's a mix of me live action explaining things in my teachery way, and then at the same time I cut to these really well crafted animations that just explain stuff so much better. Because I'm not sure whether you've done some research into this as well, but animation is one of the optimal ways for people to retain information, like absorb, break down cognitively, and then retain it. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's the way that the world needs to go. We need to animate everything. Everything we want people to learn.
I will check it out. No, my I'm focusing mostly on space exploration. That is one of my big passions. And I'm not explaining things as much, because I think material is out there, and NASA and ESA, like, they do amazing work in that. But it's more to attract people to it and trying to explain why it is so cool. And that's like, it started from real life stories, as often happens, like trying to talk about space exploration and what was going on in space exploration with my friends and family, and I was so hyped, and they were looking at me like, why? Like, it's just a rocket. It's like, no, but you don't get it. I had to tell you the story of, and that's the concept behind it.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's it. Once you contextualize something, then it becomes tangible and accessible, and
Exactly.
then people care, you know. So I think that is almost like what we should be playing before people come to my other animated educational videos. Get excited about it first, then you'll actually retain the information. So that's brilliant. I love that. As my physics teacher side is just like loving everything about about this idea. It's wicked.
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Fantastic. Well, I hope it works out.
Thank you.
If you need an extra physics brain, let me know. Amazing. Did you? I sort of answered this, but I mean, when obviously you started with illustration, and then you found out about storyboarding, and then you went, yes, this is it. Do you ever feel yourself wanting to move into another area further down the line in like production, or do you just see yourself just absolutely becoming the expert storyboard artist and just fully expanding on that as your profession? Because I know a lot of people use the role of storyboard artist as an in for other ones, but I also know people who are like, yep, storyboarding is the one. I just want to get really good at that. Like, where do you see yourself on that spectrum?
Maybe I will change my mind, but as if for now, I really just want to become a very good storyboard artist. I love pre-production, and I want to stay in pre-production. I mean, maybe in 10 years I'll say, oh no, I changed my mind. I'm doing something else now. I'm a baker. I don't know. But no, but right now I just want to really hone my skills. Also because I feel like I just started. Like, I started my learning process like not even 4 years ago. I got into the industry last year. So it's so fresh. And of course the industry collapsed around me while I was trying to get into it. And that's
At least you got into it. I think that's the impressive thing. It collapsed, but you got into it at the same time.
Yeah, but then I got out again. Like, it's not,
I see. It was straight out.
But this is...
I thought you meant you landed somewhere as well.
Okay. Sadly, it's not like this anymore for most of the people. Like, even I have friends who are, I don't know, I would say seniors right now, like with 5, 7 years, 8 years of experience behind them, in big studios like Warner Bros. And whatever. And they're still jumping from one contract to the other and struggling with like even like 6 months unemployment and stuff, because the industry is really in bad shape right now. And I think we should address that, like especially for people who are thinking to get into the industry or starting the learning process right now. Be aware of this. And I'm not saying do not start. Like, I'm not regretting my choices. I love this, and I'm delusional enough to think that I will make it. But it's not easy, and it's not a safe career that you say, oh, I will, get in, and once I'm in, I'm done. It's a lot of effort, a lot of struggle.
Yeah, I think it's strange how it just all of a sudden did just implode. I think I'm trying to work out where the source of it was, because a lot of people have got different theories of, maybe it's AI, maybe it's COVID, maybe it's the fact that everyone during COVID went, yes, we'll hire a load of animators, we'll get them all in. Then post-COVID, they go, oh, well, we can just get anyone now, and maybe we don't actually need to be doing animation. Then it kind of shut down. It was this weird sort of boom and then crumble. But I don't know why it would be any worse off than what it was before COVID. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm not quite sure what's going on. That recession. But
I think another, of course, AI is a part of it, and also I think a big part of it was the like studios buying each other's and getting bigger and bigger and cutting productions, and when the head, like the CEOs, get so far away from the actual work of people, it's not just bad contracts, it's also bad productions, and art as itself gets in second position to income for the big studios. I mean, I had a friend who's a character designer, senior character designer, and he was pointing out the other day that, well, last year, if you think about it, most of the animation movies that came out were sequels. And not just like number 2, but number 4, 5, whatever. And that means that you don't need people doing character design. You don't need people doing a lot of backgrounds, and like it's a cut of costs, of course, but it's also like less people get hired to do these things because you can reuse what you already have. And all of these things come together to create a very bad storm. Of course, we are also in a global economical crisis that doesn't help.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't think the parlour here has suffered too much. I know it looks quite bare and empty now, but they're doing all right here, thankfully, in our little safe space.
I thought it was empty because you booked it or something.
Yeah, I mean, we hire it out. I kind of semi-own the place. So special guests, we get
exactly.
We get all you can drink milkshake,
Nice.
And that's why it hasn't gone down. It just autofills underneath the.
Because we're all introverts as artists, so we need an empty space too.
Yeah. There's no social pressures here.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it's a really weird one. I mean, obviously, I've been keeping. I like to stay in touch with what technology is doing. So I keep seeing what AI's potential is. I don't think we've reached too far with animation in terms of what AI can do yet. I think it is a matter of time. I know there's lots of very clever tools for generating storyboards. I've looked into, you can do these kind of closed system AI kind of servers. I forgot the word for them, but where you can train it based on your intellectual property. So, for example, a style of illustrations of characters, and then usually what you can do is you can get really loose storyboard drawings, and then you just feed that into the AI, and it will then generate a more fully rendered version of that storyboard. Actually, this sounds perfect for you, interestingly, because then you get to do your real roughs, and then you could have a set of stylized, more refined roughs, just to then be like, right, there you go. There's the next step, just auto AI.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not against AI. I'm learning how to use it for my purpose.
Yeah, and that's it. I think it will definitely reduce workload, which might result in people not getting paid as much for a single gig, but at the same time it will also mean that you spend less time having to do it, so it kind of it balances out in a weird way. So I know a lot of people are scared of it, but I think people who are scared of it haven't fully looked into it, I think, is the position I come at it from. I think if you're set on just being an in-between artist, maybe, but I'm not sure if I know anyone who ever just wants to be an in-between artist. But at the same time, they're gonna need to have someone to make sure that the AI is doing those in-betweens right. If that particular production is going to be using AI, so.
No, absolutely. I think just right now is a bad combination of things happening. So right now we are kind of in the middle of the storm. But yeah, my optimistic side thinks, no, okay, it's gonna settle down. Like, give it a couple of years, and then things will get back to normal, whatever normal means now. But
I think the best thing to do for anyone out there at the moment is just stay in the loop
Yeah.
with where things are going, and if there are new tools that are coming in, just give them a try.
Exactly.
If they don't cost much or anything, sometimes they're free, like Stable Diffusion, and just see whether they will be applicable in your scenario of what you're trying. You don't need to become an expert at it. Just become aware of it, and then I think when we come out this storm, as you say, you'll be G'd up a bit in terms of what the next generation or chapter of humanity's commercial development is.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm still optimistic for the industry. I think also because big studios are in trouble right now, but that is also pushing people, like talented people, coming together and starting smaller studios or their own projects. And I think that's where creativity actually lies, and beautiful things can come out of this. So actually, I'm looking forward to the next, I would say, 5 years, because these things take time. But for how I'm seeing it, there will be a new animation revolution with smaller studios and not just like big Disney movies coming up.
Yeah, I agree. I think in these sort of times when either people are struggling to find work in this industry, it's like, well, if you've got this additional time, just make something awesome. That's kind of like what I'm doing, because I started doing. I moved to this industry at the same time you did, so it was September last year, and apparently that is when the industry shut down. So I was like, oh, excellent, excellent. But with that, it's just finding the nerve, I suppose, just to say, right, fine, I'll do it myself then.
Yes.
And I think everyone needs a bit of stubbornness in the fact that they are a creative, and if you're a creative, you've got to make stuff. And if no one else is going to make you make stuff, then you're going to make it yourself.
Yes, exactly. That's also what I said before about loving the process, right? It doesn't like, if you just want to I don't know, be a character designer at Disney, good luck with that. But if you like drawing characters, one way or another, you will find a way to do that on your own terms. And maybe that will bring you eventually to Disney, but that can't be the goal, because it's you have to love every step of the way.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think, like you said, love the process, not the result.
Yeah.
I think is absolutely the healthiest way to look at animation, especially when you're on your 1,500th line frame. You're like, man, I love doing this. Just carry on.
Yeah, and especially with storyboarding, I guess you had the same experience. Killing your babies so many times, like when you go from script to storyboarding, it can be for yourself, it can be even worse when it's in a production, that you spend so much time working on a sequence and you change it so many times from so many different camera angles, and then you found the perfect way to do it, and then they cut the scene and it's like, oh, damn it. It was my baby. And but if you like also the just the process behind it, just the scratching the brain itch of, okay, how do I do this scene, then it's all fine.
Yeah, that's really true. And sort of thinking about your process, like what is your process when you're given a script? Like, how do you go, right, now I'm gonna make the thing? Like, how do you get to that end result?
First of all, a lot of ice cream, a lot of milkshakes.
I can highly condone that thought process.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is when you get the script, just roughly, I often do it directly on the paper. Like, I print the script, and on the paper, I find the keyframes and I decide what kind of mood they have, what kind of camera shot angle they have to have. So that also for me, I have clear what are the steps in the scripts that have to be there, have to be clear. And once you have the keyframes, you can start working, like going in betweens and start building all the steps and all the actually the in betweens, like how the characters step up or whatever. That is the last phase, and not every production needs it, so that's okay. But what is really, really important, and that is something I change 100 times, is figuring out the composition and the camera angle, because that changes everything. That changes the emotion you're setting up. That changes how the people are going to perceive the characters as well, not just the situation. So figure that out. Doesn't matter exactly. That's why I like it. Like the rough pass, like doesn't matter how clean the characters' expressions are. It's important to set it up, and also to avoid mistakes, because then you find, I'm moving them from right to left, and then the next they have to be on the other side. It's like, I don't have a door there. How can they enter the room from there? So I have to flip everything. And you don't want to do that when you are already in a cleanup phase. So yeah.
I was going to ask, like, when it came to that process of figuring out those camera angles and things like that, have you done studies into cinematography and like all the you're nodding there, yeah, because I feel like a lot of people they think storyboarding is this just process of getting the characters' motions and where they're looking roughly right, but it's like no, you got to have such an awareness of cinema. And it's like,
yes, absolutely.
Did you have any recommendations of like particular resources that you might have used for that? Or is it just watching a lot?
Okay, first of all, watching a lot, like the saying, you are what you're eating, works also with art. So watch a lot of movies, and good ones, to learn, and like maybe do not watch them with people, because you tend to become annoying and like stopping and going back and say, oh my god, this is a beautiful shot. But of course, watching a lot of things, but actually you have to learn how to watch stuff. That's also something that I loved learning. I felt I saw myself changing in the way I watched stuff. And you have to learn what to look for. And for that, there are a lot of resources online. Like I didn't, as I said, I didn't go to schools or whatever, but internet is, it's a beautiful place. There is everything you want on that. Paid courses. But actually, even YouTube is enough. Like YouTube is my favorite place on earth. It's full of beautiful people that for free will teach you stuff just because they're passionate about it. And actually, there is a YouTube channel that I think it's super inspiring. It's closed now, like they're not producing anything more, but it's called Every Frame a Painting.
Yep.
You know that?
Very good. Yeah.
Is brilliant. And that is not just a good start to learn and to know what to look for and to start a list of movies to check out. But also, for me, it sparked a lot of passion.
Yeah.
So, I would recommend that.
I definitely find whenever I've watched their videos, it always gets me really excited as well.
Yes.
Like they have a way of phrasing stuff that just makes you sit there and go, yeah, I'm going to make my things now. Like, I'm going to pause this video and I'm going to go make a thing.
Exactly.
Use that technique.
Yes.
So it's definitely worth watching if you haven't already. There was a book that I had when I was first learning. When I was, how many years would I have been? 7 years into cinematography. And it was called The Filmmaker's Eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a brilliant one for anyone
Yes.
wanting to learn some really advanced techniques of cinematography. They cover the basics as well, but then they get into the beauty and complexity of image systems. I see you looking around the cafe for a potential version of that book.
No, there is a book. I can't find it now. That I use also a lot. That is, I think it's called Ink Frame. That is also a good book. But I mean, it's full of them. And of course, there are also courses. But I would also say, I mean, if you have the resources, of course, take a class, take a master class. It's always nice. But it's not necessary. Like really, YouTube is enough. When you start looking into it, you will learn how to ask the right questions and then find the right answers. And also don't be shy contacting people. Like I'm pretty shameless in this. I contacted so many people on Instagram, artists, just saying, I love your work. Can you help me out? And I found amazing mentors and friends that were willing to look at my work and give me tips and give me materials and guiding me through all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. In terms of just talking to people, it's so easy now, and it's amazing who will get back to you if you just send them a message. And the fact that you can literally contact your favorite artist whenever you want. It's just mad, really. Like when you really think about that, you compare that to 50 years ago, and you've seen the painting that you love. It's like, well, there it is. I'll never speak to them. But now you can just send them a message on Instagram or go to their website and go to their contact me form. I think it's something which is massively overlooked by a lot of people.
And I think this is something that artists and scientists have in common. The art industry is full of very passionate people who do that because they love it, not because it's cool or the pay is good. So you will be surprised on how happy they are to just answering to you and help you through your journey, because they just love it. They just love what they do, and they love seeing new people, younger people getting into the game, and they just want to share their passion. So yeah, do it.
Absolutely. And to sort of talk a bit more about your illustrations and things, that sort of side of your work. How do you choose the subjects for your illustrations? Because I know recently you've been doing a lot of like Olympians, and then prior to that it was this wide range. I remember there's this one illustration you've done in particular of this swimmer, which just blew me away.
Really?
I absolutely love that one. Yeah, you've got all the distortions through the water as well. I absolutely love it, and the colours as well.
Thank you.
How do you choose your subjects?
Some of them are not chosen. Some of them are commissions. I made some illustration for books. Especially, I worked on 2 poetry books for a poet. So I had the list of all the poems, and I had to make illustrations that worked well with it. So some of them are guided, and some of them are just either things I'm passionate about at the moment, like the Olympic sketches were really like in the evenings while we're watching the highlights of the day, I was just sketching what I was watching, or listening to the stories of the athletes and getting passionate about it, and then like just for fun basically. Or there are illustrations that I make for it sounds very cheesy, but to express myself. Like there are that emotions, desires, fears, the human experience, and I think in images. So sometimes I just get an image, and like the one you mentioned of the swimmer. Actually, it was quite a hard moment in my life, and I had this expression in my head because talking with friends was like, oh, but you have to go with the flow. And I said, well, going with the flow is not enough. I want to really like flow with the flow, just go like completely. And while drawing that illustration, there was I hope, quite peaceful, coming across quite peaceful. I got that feelings in myself as well. Like what we were saying before, when you draw someone smiling, you smile as well. So while I was drawing that person just enjoying peacefully, just being in the water and the sunlight and everything, I thought I felt also more relaxed and in peace. So sometimes illustration is also healing.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think like not just like drawing to capture emotion, but to process, I think is or not just to draw, but just to create something in a time of processing, I think is again a very overlooked process, which is incredibly healthy, and it's one of the reasons why I think it is so important that everyone learns to be creative in some capacity. Because I know, for example, in the UK, in the current, or at least semi-previous government, it wasn't particularly highlighted as an important quality to think creatively, and so it wasn't really taught in schools. And technically, what creativity actually is still isn't taught in schools. But I think what you've been doing there is one of the most almost obvious, clear ways why people should learn to be creative. It's such an important part, or can be such an important part of processing, as well as expression and developing new things. But that act of taking that piece and using it to develop ourselves emotionally, I think.
But that's the thing, right?
Awesome.
Like everybody is creative, everybody does art. Like, but I think we are destroyed by the capitalistic view on things. Like we don't have to be good at stuff to do them. You don't have to be a skilled artist to draw. And art is part of our lives constantly in a level that we don't realize. Like everybody sings, everybody dances, everybody watches animated movies or has prints on their t-shirts. And that's also a way of communication. And, you know, sometimes I think I sing because singing is a socially accepted way of screaming, or dancing is a socially accepted way of like punching the air, and that is processing emotion. And the idea that you can't do it because you're not good at it, it's messed up. It depends. Also, it carries the question of, well, what does it mean good? Good for what? Like, is it good enough to release emotion? Yes. Is it good enough to express your feelings to someone else's? Yes. Then it's good enough. Maybe it's not good enough to be sold at an art fair, but is it that your goal? For the majority of people, the answer is no. So it is good, and you are good enough in whatever you want to do. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that, and it kind of resonates with me in my passion for down with cringe culture. I can't stand it. I'm like, oh, cringe. I'm like, brilliant, cringe. Embrace it. Like whatever you think cringe is, get over it.
Absolutely.
And understand why you're doing something for you. That's what's important.
Yes.
But I think you've summarized it wonderfully there. Yeah, I love it. I've got some sort of like roundup questions here for you. So first of all, possibly one of the trickiest questions that I ask, other than the milkshake question, obviously.
I'm crying here.
Do you have any advice for a younger you?
Define younger. Like how back in time are we going?
That can be completely up to you.
Okay, now it feels staged, but is actually real. Something I was thinking about the beginning of this year, to be honest. Like, embrace your cringe. That means like growing up, I had so many passions that I felt they were not appropriate in one way or another. Like they were weird, they were not girly enough, also because I grew up in Italy in the 90s, so for example, space exploration wasn't a thing that was viewed as a girly thing to do, or so I didn't do a lot of things because I saw that my peers were not approving of them. And now I'm looking back and I say, oh my God, if only I had the guts to actually go for it and just embrace the cringe. I wonder, where would I be now?
To be fair, I feel like,
I'm cringe enough.
You've found you've found your ways to that conclusion regardless, I feel. I mean, I'm not sure it doesn't feel like it's been a sudden change. I feel like it's been something which has always been there, and it hasn't, like, I don't, from where you are now, I wouldn't have guessed or would say it has held you back at all. That, you are creating, to go one for one, you're creating your passion project right now, which is on that exact topic of space exploration. It's, I wouldn't say that you're like, oh, if only, like, no, I don't think it has, particularly, unless you're thinking about actually being an astronaut. I'm like, okay,
no. I never wanted to be an astronaut. No. It's crazy.
Yeah, but you can always get a telescope or start doing some further education into physics. I know that the Sussex lot where I was at, they were doing all their research into studying what dark matter is and how invisible mass works and things like that. So, but it's all the observation of the spin of galaxies and things like that. So it's never too late if you wanted to go that far in. But I definitely feel like you have been embracing it in your appropriate capacity. So I wouldn't put yourself down with it. So,
what would you say to your younger self?
Me? Oh man, no one's ever asked me it back. That's it. I think in a weird way, it's actually care less.
I mean, it's kind of the same answer here.
Kind of yes and kind of no. I think it's important to care. Like, for example, I wouldn't care about how cringy something was necessarily when I was a kid. I would just go for it anyway. But I think I cared so much it was quite unhealthy, if you see what I mean. So when I was doing my physics degree, it was hell. It was hell on earth. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone who doesn't, I mean, let's put it this way. Everything up to the first year I found absolutely fascinating. Loved it. It's almost like to be honest with you, probably should have been doing engineering. But as soon as it went beyond that, and I only took physics to then be able to teach it. That's what I've always wanted to do, as well as always been making my things. And I had this weird, and still do, have this this concept of being really good. Like, I've got to be really good at something, and so I would work at my physics to the point where it would make me so ill mentally to get where I wanted to be with it, which was I wanted it first. Like I'm gonna make sure I get this first, and I would be there in the library 7:30 in the morning until 9 p.m. Just doing that every single day, only taking breaks to go to lectures and the occasional film direction that I was doing at the time as well. But yeah, it would absolutely exhaust me, and it's gotten me to places that have made me very secure if I need to. So at the same time, I don't regret it in a weird way. But I feel like overall, when you look at what life is and you question, is it worth destroying yourself so much over an idea? I wonder if approaching that differently would have made me a happier person in general. I don't know, because I might have looked back and been like, oh, if only I'd given it my all. And that's always the process where I came at it. I've always been like, if I didn't put my all in, I'd be annoyed with myself. So I'm going to put my all in. But at the same time, if I didn't put my all in and I learnt to relax a bit more and be less stressed in general, would I be happier? So it's kind of this weird, like, I'd never know either way. But
now you are more relaxed. You are enjoying what you're doing more. I have the feeling.
I think more than I did. I still get very stressed about things, and I think that's where it's like it still lingers with me. That thing. So I think it would be that. I probably have a different one if someone ever asked me again.
Of course, this kind of questions
That's it. One of the many things I would have said to myself would possibly be that. I wouldn't have listened. I would have done exactly the same thing, but I would have said it to myself. Yeah. And my second sort of round of question here is we might know, but you might have something else you haven't shared with us. Is what is it that you've got planned next? Any projects that you're kind of like, what's something on the horizon I'd like to do? Because you say you're working on the space exploration piece. Have you got another thing in the back burner, or is it just kind of like focusing on that and like what's next with that? Like, where are you at with things?
That's such a difficult question, because
harder than the last, maybe.
Well, a different kind of difficult, because I think you have the same, like I have 100,000 ideas at the same time. But it's so difficult to say, I'm going to focus on this one now. It's really, really tough. But, of course, I still have, apart from my personal project, I will still look forward to join another studio, another production, possibly in Europe, possibly a smaller studio, like a small studio, because I love small studios, and yay, let's go for small productions. But a project that I actually have in my head, like there since a while, and I will want to work on eventually in the next year, is an illustrated book. So not just animation, but also illustration. And I have a few topics on my head. I'm not sure I want to share them now.
That's okay. Yeah.
But an illustrated book. Kind of I don't want to call it graphic novel, because it will not really be a graphic novel, but it will be for an adult public, like not for kids. And it will be actually a way also to elaborate some of my feelings that I've been experiencing in these last years. So it will also be a healing process for me, and I hope also for other people.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, that sounds like a really nice I'm gonna say change of pace. But yeah, I think taking a step into a different medium is really nice as well. So that sounds needed and a good way of, again, as you say, processing. I think when you're learning something at the same time as processing something, it doesn't make it too overwhelming as well, because you're like, but I'm just doing this to learn this thing, but at the same time you are processing something.
You're tricking yourself.
Oh, that's lovely. That's it. Yeah, that's it. And my last question for you is, where can people find you if they want to follow your work?
Oh, that's an easy question to close. Thank you. Well, for sure, the first thing, I'm on Instagram, Giulia_Bona.draws. And my website, giuliabona.com. And I think this is enough. Like on my Instagram, there is a link tree. I will eventually start also a Twitch channel or something, but you will find all the info there.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
hope you enjoyed your hazelnut milkshake.
That was amazing. I want another one.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna mix pistachio and hazelnut now.
Yes, that's the thing to do next. Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you, and maybe in the future when you've got a version of either your space exploration book or maybe something completely different, we'll have you back again for another hazelnut. Who knows?
That would be lovely.
Maybe try something fresh.
Yes.
Lovely to have you.
Thank you.